The woman was suddenly horrified to discover that the water in the roadside pond had suddenly boiled. While she was bewildered, a crack appeared in the road, extending all the way to the corner of the road where the traffic police were stationed. The next second, a deep pit appeared, and the traffic policeman fell right in. But the pit wasn't the only one. It began to expand outwards, causing people to flee. Jingjie was no exception. She immediately stepped on the gas and started reversing, but the traffic jam was too long and they couldn't get out. Jingjie had no choice but to get out of the car with her children to escape. However, during the escape, her son was accidentally hit by someone fleeing and fell to the ground, injured. Seeing this, Jingjie immediately told her daughter to go first and then turned back to find her son. But after only 2 seconds, she saw her son being swallowed by the pit. Losing her son, Jingjie stood there in grief, but the pit continued to expand. By the time Jingjie reacted, the pit was already in front of her. Jingjie tried to run, but it was too late. Just as she was about to fall into the pit, a hand grabbed her. It was her daughter who had returned, but her daughter was too weak to pull Jingjie back. Seeing the pit widening, Jingjie knew the longer they stayed, the more dangerous it would be for her daughter. Unwilling to burden her daughter, after a sorrowful farewell, she pulled her daughter away and willingly fell into the pit. Jingjie kept looking down, but instead of her brother, she saw a green light. She fell right in. When she opened her eyes, she found herself in a wild, desolate world. The green light that had entered had mysteriously appeared in the sky, but Jingjie didn't have time to think. Her priority was finding her son. She tried to call him, but there was no signal. Jingjie was bewildered. In this open space, many people who had fallen into the pit had gathered. Her son was there too. Mother and son were overjoyed, both relieved that the other had survived. But unexpectedly, a wolf emerged from the pit. Unlike ordinary wolves, this one was 3 times the size. The wolf charged at them, forcing them to run. It wasn't just them. More wolves rushed into the open space. The wolves began attacking the survivors. People scattered and tried to escape, but they were no match for the wolves and became their prey. In the chaos, Jingjie's son was also attacked by a wolf. In desperation, Jingjie used 10 coins to push the wolf away, but this only fueled the wolf's murderous intent. In the critical moment, fortunately, survivor Lao He shot and killed the wolf, saving Jingjie and her son. The wolf pack was also pushed back. However, Jingjie later discovered that her son had been bitten by a wolf. Fortunately, one of the survivors bandaged Jingjie's son, but if antibiotics and other medications weren't found quick, her son wouldn't survive more than 2 days. But where could they find antibiotics? Jingjie fell into deep thought. Suddenly, she remembered that an ambulance had fallen into the pit when it appeared, and ambulances usually carry all the commonly used medications. The doctor immediately decided to go with Jingjie to find them. They would encounter other wild animals in Patu. The two called Lao He along. Fortunately, they encountered no danger along the way and successfully found the ambulance. The doctor got in, took the medication, and was about to leave. But suddenly, Jingjie discovered something terrifying. The distant mountain peaks were exactly the same as the Hollywood Hills on the ambulance, indicating that they were still in Los Angeles. Therefore, they hadn't traveled to another world. The doctor and the old black man were incredulous. Just as they were pondering this, the sound of wild beasts echoed from the distant trees. Then, a knowledge that had been extinct for millennia appeared. Meanwhile, after the mysterious sinkhole appeared, the military immediately dispatched personnel to cordon off the area, prohibiting anyone from approaching. The aunt told her father that her family had been hoisted into the sinkhole. While the father was comforting his daughter, many strange creatures he had never seen before suddenly flew out of the sinkhole. They stood high above, looking down at the humans, seemingly trying to bring them back. The humans were terrified. In response, the military sent advanced drones deep into the sinkhole to investigate. Unexpectedly, just as they approached the narrow opening at the bottom, the drones lost contact. Subsequently, the chief scientist in charge of the case announced that the rescue operation was over. However, Lingdong's husband, Baoluo, refused to give up. Baoluo was originally an Air Force pilot, but 3 years ago, during a desert mission, he had an accident and began experiencing hallucinations, seeing strange images, including black birds. After listening to the scientist's press conference, Baoluo's mind flashed back to his wife, along with a stone imprinted with a hand. He felt that his wife and the others were still alive, so he immediately found the scientists and requested that they continue the rescue operation. However, the scientists found this absurd. To persuade them, Baoluo even revealed the fake number of the crashed drone. Although the scientists found it strange, they trusted their professional judgment. After all, falling into such a deep pit meant there was no chance of survival. Back home, Baoluo couldn't help think of her wife again, but unexpectedly discovered the stone handprint in a family photo. She rushed to the stone's location that very night, vowing to find any clues about Kylan, no matter how hard she tried. Suddenly, Baoluo got up and asked her daughter if her mother had worn the necklace and ring that day. Her daughter was certain that her mother had indeed worn them. It turned out that Baoluo had dug up Kylan's ring in the ground, further solidifying her belief that she could save her wife. Baoluo then found a doctor specializing in testing and asked her to conduct a radiometric biometric dating of the ring. Unexpectedly, she made a startling discovery. The scientist who obtained the data stated that the ring's dating was 10,000 BC. Then, she took Bao Luo to a secret base and showed her an aircraft developed specifically for the sinkhole. Now, Bao Luo had proven that the people in the sinkhole were still alive, so the search and rescue operation would continue. Since the humans fell into the deep pit and arrived in another world, food became scarce. Instead of discussing how to build a shelter, they started arguing over a bar of chocolate. Just as the two were arguing fiercely, a strange roar suddenly came from the forest. Then a giant bear, Huan, appeared, its imposing presence causing everyone to flee. Only the chubby girl, who had just won the chocolate, remained frozen in place. But this time, she finally knew to run, as the bear was 10 times larger than her. Fortunately, the giant bear was just a small fry. It devoured all the food the humans had carefully prepared and left. People argued for a long time, only to be caught off guard by someone else and wiped out. This sudden crisis made everyone reflect. The appearance of the prehistoric giant ground sloth meant that they had arrived in 10,000 years ago through the deep. From then on, they no longer needed to queue for food. Instead, they had to abandon their habit of being weighted on hand and foot and find their own way to survive until rescue arrived. Therefore, the survivors had to risk entering the forest to find food. Soon, Hailing and his companions caught a rabbit, but this world was full of the law of the jungle, and a Zhongxiong had its eyes on them. This was truly adding insult to injury. To attract Zhongxiong's attention, Su Shan had to release the rabbit they had just caught. Taking advantage of the rabbit's momentary lapse in attention, the two of them quickly ran away. Zhongxiong, realizing what was happening, immediately gave chase. The two on Wangbu's road had no choice but to hide in a small cave. As Zhongxiong frantically rummaged around, rocks rained down from the cave's ceiling, instantly blocking the narrow entrance. Xiaohei tried for a long time, but couldn't move the rocks. Now they could only head to the other side of the cave to see if there were any other exits. Just then, a flashlight beam suddenly appeared ahead. Su Shan immediately tensed up. Upon closer inspection, they discovered it was Xiao Huang and her child, who had come out early to find food. They were also horrified to learn they had been trapped at the entrance. The four of them had no choice but to continue exploring the cave together. After working for most of the day, they discovered it was a bottomless pit. They even found a human skeleton. Judging from the numerous scratches on the wall, this person must have lived there for many years. Just as they were beginning to despair, Xiaohei suddenly heard a faint dripping sound. After several twists and turns, they finally found a pool of water. Could this be an exit to the outside world? The observant Xiaohei discovered a type of algae in the pool that only grew under sunlight. This meant the pool must be connected to the outside world. Su Shan felt that jumping into the water rashly was too dangerous, while Xiao Huang and her son thought they should try. Just as they were arguing, Xiaohei dove into the water and surfaced again a few minutes later. Sure enough, there was a hidden exit in the pool. Hearing this, the others breathed a sigh of relief. Meanwhile, the military had formulated a detailed plan to rescue the survivors trapped at the bottom of the pit. They were about to dispatch their newest fighter jets, but deciding who would carry out the mission became a problem. Adam was the best candidate, but he had been retired for 3 years, and the military was unwilling to risk it. Reluctantly, Adam had to turn to his friends. The military arranged a high-profile send-off ceremony for Li Wei. Adam even personally handed him the wedding ring, hoping he would pass it on to his ex-wife. Amidst great anticipation, Li Wei piloted his fighter jet over the sinkhole. Initially, everything seemed normal, but as the altitude decreased, the data on the dial became erratic, and the fuselage began to shake violently. Then, communication between the two sides was severely disrupted. According to Li Wei's intermittent reports, the aircraft's engine had lost power, and subsequently, the monitoring signal completely disappeared. The female commander was initially unable to accept this outcome, but everyone had to admit that this meticulously prepared rescue mission had failed. The only thing was that the crashed aircraft had miraculously traveled back to the primordial event of 10,000 years ago. This scene was witnessed by the humans who had fallen into the sinkhole, and they seemed to feel hope again. The next day, Bai Jing's team headed to the crash site. Not far along, they discovered the landing hill in the trees. At this moment, the pilot Lawrence also emerged from the woods. Bai Jing was astonished to find her longtime friend. The team continued towards the crash site, but were blocked by a river. On the other side, however, lay the crashed aircraft. After measuring the water depth, Bai Jing decided to risk crossing the Erie River. Just as everyone entered the water, a terrifying scene unfolded. A prehistoric giant was approaching from a distance. Unaware of the danger, they continued forward. Xiao Mei noticed something underwater. The giant was slowly approaching. Xiao Mei instantly disappeared, but luckily, the prison guard discovered her in time, and Shi Chong quickly rescued her. They then arrived at the crash site. Strangely, the prison guard discovered the plane's radar system had detected an unknown signal source only 5 miles away. He deduced that someone there might be able to help them escape and decided to investigate. The team quickly reached the signal source. Before them were strange fortresses, which even the archaeologist, Asan, couldn't explain. Something had happened at the other camp. What had the little girl discovered in the jungle? Her terrified eyes showed she was knocked unconscious by something. When she got up, she found a corpse beside her, its body covered in bulging veins. What had happened to cause this bizarre death? She began to scream in fear. Everyone heard her voice. Everyone was moved. The policewoman wanted to ask the little girl what she had witnessed, but she was speechless at the sight for her. Sam decided to conduct a test to confirm the location of the shroud. The policewoman and the black man became the investigation team, examining the surrounding area. Strangely, the killer hadn't left any trace of poison. Soon, Sam had the test results and concluded that Eddie had been cushioned to death. Strangely, reassured, they asked the little girl if she had seen the killer. She nodded. When asked about the killer's appearance, she panicked, extremely frightened, and even unable to face him. To protect her sister, the older sister led her away from the scene. The little girl, however, let go of her sister's arms and boldly revealed the truth. The killer was an old man with a strange arm on his back. Just as the two began to wonder, this mysterious old man reappeared and witnessed everything. What will happen next?